story.
Yeah.
And just from my own background in the industry, you know, some of you have sort of heard where I've come from, but, you know, I've been 32 years. This year, it'll be 33 years in the industry, which, you know, makes me feel really old. But in fact, I've got a great friend. These days, he's mid-70s, and I can remember 10, 11 years ago when he used to say, you know, I've been 33 years in the industry. Wow. So look, guys, you know, for a long time for me, in the very early days, I learned a very valuable lesson that sometimes you need the meeting, and sometimes the meeting needs you.
Yeah.
And you know, the story that we used to tell was, because we used to run physical meetings, you know, before the days of Zoom and internet and all that sort of stuff, even mobile phones. We would, and I know you would have grown up in the same philosophy, Kalpesh, but we had a weekly event, and it was absolutely mandatory that if you were serious about developing a team, you were going to be there. But each week, what you would try to do is you'd work out the number of rows in the room that you wanted to fill.
Yes.
And we knew that if we had a certain number of people at events on a regular basis, we could almost pin our volume to the numbers of people at those events.
Absolutely.
But it was also a growth story.
Mm.
And sometimes you're sitting in a meeting and you hear one little bit of information that makes all the difference. And you can be in something for a long time. And I can remember being in an auditorium, and I heard this Bobcat driver. Does everyone know what a Bobcat driver is? That's someone who sits on one of these things that sort of picks up the dirt and moves it from here and moves it to there. That was his life. And he just shared. And to be honest, I cannot even remember what it was, but all I can remember is the feeling that it gave me, and then the need for me to get out and do something different. And it wasn't long after that we actually started to, you know, find people and bring a team together.
Wow.
And that was a couple of years into the business that I'd been in.
Mm-hmm.
Now, these days, we have the opportunity to build a business at the speed of light, because we have the internet, we have mobile phones, we can connect with people in an instant.
Yeah.
Back in the day, it just wasn't that physically possible to do that. You had to drive the miles. I put 300,000 kilometers on my car in 5 years just driving to meetings. 300,000 kilometers. Think about it.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, I had a relatively late model. It was a Mitsubishi Magna Elite. And I bought it secondhand because I wasn't flushed. But I remember it had fairly low Ks, and I put 300,000 on it over the next 5 years. Right? Not most people drive a car for 10, 15 years to do that.
Wow.
Right? And it's because we went out and we built everywhere. And I just stayed in Victoria, in the state of Victoria. George knows it well. In fact, I lived out in the east, near where George is now. And I used to drive, you know, a couple of hours every night to go and do meetings. Yeah. And so we learned the hard way. These days, it's almost too easy, Kalpesh.
Yeah. Well, if you just break that down, 300,000 Ks, that would have been, even if you did them as 100K trips, round trips each time, that's 30,000 trips.
Oh, yeah. Well, guess what? Some of them were 400-kilometer trips.
Yeah. There'll be.
You know, I mean, some of them were long, because Australia is really big, right? Even the state of Victoria is really big. And I can remember, you know, one of my guys sponsored someone in a place called Albury Wodonga, and it's a 4-hour journey from Melbourne. These days, a little bit quicker because you don't have to go through as many towns. You know, 30 odd years ago, they hadn't built the freeways yet, even, to be honest. And I remember I was working, so I left work and I drove 4 hours to go and do the meeting. I left work early, drove 4 hours to the meeting, and of course, no one showed up. Luckily, the guy was there, though, in his house. So we had a good chat. In fact, I took him to dinner, and we strategized how next week I was going to come back up and we were going to do the same thing again. But guess what? And I phoned him during the week. Hey, going, yeah, no, probably have 10, 12 people, fantastic. So I drove up. Guess what? No one showed up. So we strategized again. We made some calls, we locked in some meetings. And the next week I drove up again.
Yeah.
And then I'll never forget, I'm knocking on the door and I can see the light on, but I just kept knocking. No one answered the door. Not even the guy that was in.
Alexa, pause.
Yeah. So look,
Yes.
I drove back. I decided, you know what, I'm going to go. I'm going to have a meal in the town, and then I'm going to drive back. And I can remember just thinking to myself, well, as I was playing tapes that were, feeding the mind, I can remember thinking to myself, it's this sort of stuff that's going to, even though the result is absolutely not what I wanted. I wasted 8 hours driving, 8 hours just driving there and back. I had to get up in the morning to go to work. And back then I was working in sales for a friend's company. I had to be there at 8 a.m. or something like that. So God knows what time I got home. Wasn't much sleep. But I don't know, for some reason, those sort of things tended to forge a bit of a resilience.
Yeah.
These days, what's funny? It's not funny, but when you look back, someone joins the business, makes 3 phone calls, they don't get the result they wanted and they quit.
Yeah.
Like,
True.
give me a break.
I know a good way of getting people on.
Go on.
Do you want to know how we can get somebody on? We could start a scam, and then we can like start a scam, and then we can say, hey, come on. And I'm telling you, I could get 1,000 people on this call.
No, don't tell me. Do you know what?
But it's interesting. People will respond to that. But look, guys,
phenomenon.
Congratulations. We got 30 on the call.
There you go. Lovely.
There was 8 on here or something.
Well done, everybody who got on.
Boom.
Well done, guys.
Celebrate. Yes.
Hey.
And each and every one of us makes the difference. So thank you so much, all of us, for pulling together and making that happen. Absolutely awesome. So, and again, some of those stories Goran shared, we can all, the old school networkers can relate to. And to be honest, even when I think of, I say old school, us guys here think of it as old school, but I was in South Africa just a few months ago, and it still works like that. And it works a charm where, we drive and we put on the kilometers, but you go to venues and you fill rooms, and it's a phenomenal vibe and a phenomenal energy. The good thing is that people did show up to the events in their hundreds, and the rooms were packed wall to wall, and just reminded me of those old days. We don't get much of that vibe and that excitement on events in like the UK or Dubai or some of these places. They kind of take it all for granted because we have, we've kind of been through so many of it that we show up sometimes, but we're not as buzzy. Over there, man, they're on fire like I was 20 years ago, going, come on, this is the only way it's going to work, because of course the internet over there doesn't work very well, so they're reliant more on the physical meetings. Goran?
Sorry, I just I've got to go and run and grab some lasagna out of the oven before my son comes back from soccer. But I just want to share just on what you're saying. So I was toiling away, guys, and I probably have my 5, 6, 7 people, sometimes 10 people at these weekly meetings. But 2 years later, we packed out an event for 1,200 people in Melbourne, okay, at a venue that's actually no longer there. They're building a St. Regis where this venue was now, right on the banks of the Yarra River. But 1,200 people, and not all 1,200 were mine, but I reckon about 600 or 700 of them would have been in my team. So, and that was only my Melbourne team. It had branched out all over Australia by that stage, obviously. So, guys, you've just sometimes got to persist. You just got to persist. And we have the most amazing opportunity with what we've got in our hands now. But I'm going to hand it back to Kalpesh, the Master Blaster.
Amazing. Thank you, Goran. Go and save your lasagna from dying. So, resilience, right? Resilience in the building this. So why do we do that then? Why should we put ourselves through that? Why should we drive all the way to Timbuktu and back and nobody shows up for us? Why should we show up on a Zoom when our upline doesn't show up? Why should we show up on a Zoom when our team doesn't show up, right? Or our leaders don't show up. Why should we show up anyway? Because the dream, that's why we do it. Those whose dream is not strong enough will find excuses. It kind of boils down to that, right? So a lot of us don't work enough on getting clear about the dream. And the dream can sound a little bit fluffy, right? It's like dream, oh my God, it's like, that old word again. It's what do you want? What do you want so badly that you're willing to sacrifice a little bit of time to make it happen? A little bit of effort to make it happen. You're willing to grab a few no's to make it happen. You're willing to take a little bit of rejection to make it happen. Because you're going to have to do all of that, right? So, you don't have to drive 400 kilometers and the guests aren't there and the host is disappointed. And then the following week, another 400K drive, the host who didn't have to travel at all, it's in his living room, the event, but his friends never showed up again for a second time. And then the third time, he's too embarrassed to even open the door to your 400 kilometer drive because he knows his guests haven't shown up again. So he's deflated because his people didn't show up, but he didn't travel. But you traveled 400Ks and you stayed inflated and pumped and excited because you listened to the good stuff on the way there and the good stuff back, right? Because you were clear about why you were doing those drives. Can you see? So at what level is your motivation to do what you got to do to break up your comforts, your creature comforts, and get uncomfortable? At what point are you going to say, you know what, enough chillaxing, enough taking it easy, enough not pushing beyond a certain level and getting on with it? So numbers are numbers. Numbers don't lie. And numbers always work for you when you work the numbers, right? So it's really simple stuff, this, but we fail to apply it, don't we? So understand that it's a numbers game. It just is, right? And put the numbers in your favor. How do you put the numbers in your favor? By doing more of the stuff that you need to do at the front end, so it churns more out at the back end, right? So if we look at the flow, what is the churn? Well, nothing happens until you invite people. Nothing. Zero. So we keep going on about this. The number one skill that every single networker has to master to get beyond any other, there's loads of skills, right? But the one skill that everyone cannot avoid is the skill of invitation. You can avoid presenting, you can avoid training and teaching because other people will do all of those, fill those gaps for you. Everything is service, but the one thing that you cannot avoid is inviting people. And inviting people, it means that the more you invite, the more that will show up. So if you're really crap at inviting, you might have to invite 20 to get 1 or 2 to show up. Look at that as an indicator. Like, wow, was my invite that crap that only 2 out of 20 turned up? Don't get disappointed, get excited. That means I can grow. Wow. Let me see how I can improve my invitation. Let me speak to my upline. Let me speak to my team. Let me speak to the people that I invited and ask them, hey, listen, I'm really excited for you to look at what I've got. I've invited you twice. You haven't bothered showing up. Help me work out how I can improve my conversation with you so you are excited to show up, like I'm excited for you to show up. Like, have that conversation. You've got nothing to lose. If you've invited somebody 2 or 3 times and they haven't shown up, you've got every right to ask them how you can improve the way you communicate to them so that they show up. Can you see that? Get the feedback so you can improve. Be a committed student. You're only going to learn if you get the feedback. So commit to getting the feedback. Get it real time from the people that are giving you the real experience. It's a beautiful place to get the feedback, right? Same with following up. When somebody sees a presentation and if they don't come on board, don't be afraid to follow up a few days later and say, listen, where could I have improved and where could the presentation have improved so that you were served better, so that you actually got what I get. Like, I'm excited. I don't know what you missed. Maybe you didn't miss anything. Maybe you're just not turned on by, whatever it is that's available here, but loads is available. You might think it's all about techie and blockchain and minting, and it's actually not. That's just like 10% of it. 90% of it is transforming your financial future. Maybe you weren't in touch with that when you were watching. Maybe you were watching like you're attending a GCSE class, trying to learn stuff, but you missed the main point. The main point was that all of that's done for you, and all you got to do is have a dream and a reason to say yes. Forget about the detail and the complication. Have you got a reason to get excited about improving your financial life or not? And if you haven't, that's cool. And if you have, let's go and have another look at the presentation again and see how it can serve you. So oftentimes we've got to have those conversations with people. So we learn, they get better served, and you will get much better result. That's how you get, if you got 2 out of 20 to show up and 1 signed up, that's a 5% sign up rate. There's a couple of ways to grow those percentages and the numbers. They're 2 different things. You can invite 40 and have 4 show up and have 2 sign up, because you know you're a 5%er, but you still got 2 signups now. Well done. You're on your way. You've started, the ball is moving. Or you can improve the conversations with the 20 you've had, so that the one that signed up, great, we know where they go in they're in, they need to get trained, they need to plug in, and they need to build. But the other 19 are feedback and follow-up, aren't they? So you can work with those. We often forget that as well, especially in the early days. In the early days, do all of these things, because you have nothing to lose. Nothing. You've got nothing to lose, because you're in the process of gaining experience, knowledge, and learning. So if you're there so be the student, and then it's not rejection, is it? It's not being let down. There's no room or space to be deflated about anything, right? So flip the way that you relate to the numbers and the activities. So you can either increase the numbers to increase the flow, or you can improve on the numbers to increase the percentages, so that, 6 weeks later, you now speak to 20 and 4 are turning up and 5 are turning up. That's massive progress. That's 100% improvement. If your average is 2 out of 20 and suddenly you got up to 4 out of 20, that's 100% improvement. And I've seen people do that. You can have 100% improvement within 3-4 weeks if you get that committed to working out what it is you're saying, what it is that you shouldn't say, how can you improve the things that you're saying that work, just sharpening the saw all the time. And then the invite becomes a fine art. And there is no fixed invite, because every invite is individual, but in the beginning, it might need to be fixed just so you can build up your confidence and your competence. In the beginning, learn a line or 2 that just works. Keep it really short, keep it really simple, and say the same thing, repetition over and over and over again, until that becomes normal for you. But once that becomes normal for you and you're not having to think about what you're saying, you can really comfortably navigate in conversational style. But you'll never get to a comfortable conversational style unless you go through the mundane repetition of learning the basic foundational lines, the skeleton, if you like. You're building the skeleton first. You're building your framework first of what do you say? How do you say it? When do you say it? What tone do you say it in? What speed do you say it in? All of those things. That's the skeleton building. Once you've done the skeleton and mastered it, now you can put the meat on the bones and play with it. You can have a lot of fun with this afterwards. So, and it is fun. It's never deflating and upsetting, because you're at that stage of having the dream alive. If you're hooked to your dream, if you're anchored to your dream, and it's got to be a dream, and when I say dream, not like a dream to transform the world. I mean, if that's your dream and it inspires you and it gets you into action, great, but a dream to at least transform your world. You've got to have a dream that lights you up to say, you know what, if I improve at this and get better at this and crack this code, my life's never going to be the same again. I'll be able to afford the things I can't afford. I'll be able to afford my family a better experience of life that I couldn't do before. I'll be able to go on more trips and experience more things, whatever those things are that are for you and people around you, right? Whatever it is that lights you up. Maybe you're not about the people around you. Maybe you couldn't give 2 hoots about taking your family on holiday. Be selfish, go on your own holidays, but go on more. Whatever it is that gets you going, find out what that is. Find out that thing, because without that thing, then it is going to be hard and tough and mundane and draining and heavy and lethargic and all of those things. It's going to be all of those negative, emotional, draining experiences. But the way to flip that is to hook it to something personal. Make the invitation personal. Imagine this. And I always like giving a little bit of an extreme example, but it'll give the analogy that I want to create here. Imagine if your life depended on them showing up. Now, how would your invite be? Like, imagine if they don't show up, you lose your life. Like, that's not going to be the consequence, of course. But if you, like, some of us work harder on gaming than we do in our own business, right? Like, when you're on a game, I've seen kids do this. They're playing their games and they have more enthusiasm and engagement and commitment to winning that game. Virtual adds nothing to their bank balance, does nothing for their future. Only thing it does is kills time in the present moment and creates a little bit of entertainment, but doesn't do anything for their, betterment of their finances and the betterment of their family. But they'll give that 100%, all in, excited, pumped, shouting, screaming, grappling, pushing for their space, doing everything they have to win a game, a virtual game. Get that same motion into this and see what happens. Grapple for it. Sharon, why didn't you show up? What was missing in me? What could I have said or done better? Because I'm committed to helping you move your life forward, like I'm committed to helping me move my life forward. And I know you're committed as well. Obviously, something went missing in whatever I said or didn't say. I really want you to check this out. And it's twice I've invited you. You've missed it. You tell me, help me out here. What do I need to do to get you to give me half an hour so you can come and have a look at what I think can absolutely give you everything you've been looking for? Grapple for it. Don't let it slide. Oh, I've invited them twice. They didn't show up. Let me move on. You can only afford to move on if you got too many contacts. I can do that. I've got way too many contacts than I'll ever be able to follow up with. So for me, it doesn't matter. For me, so if I invite you once and you don't show up, you may never get an invite from me. Actually, that's not going to happen because I have systems in place to make sure that you are always getting spammed by me. But my point is, you got to fight for that result. You've got to fight for the numbers to be on your side. And if you're playing with small numbers, you end up with small numbers. I was with a couple of guys yesterday, and it was great. I was with them, and in the company that they were with previously, the two guys, I said, oh, so how many people did you get in frontline in your previous deal? One goes 97, the other goes 122. I'm like, now we're talking. Now I'm talking to people that are make it happen people. That's people they got in, paid people, direct front lines. 97 and 122. That's over 200 people, direct front line between two people. They were no more skilled, talented. Well, they were actually, because they've gone through it. What my point is, they were normal human beings, normal people that applied everything that we talk about here, got good, and mastered the skill of not just inviting, but closing the deal. Now, then I asked the second question. I said, of your 122 and of your 97, how many of them did what you did? None. Isn't that interesting? So it's hardly ever anyone is going to outperform you. But at least if you're outperforming yourself and you did the 97 or you did the 122, guess what happens? None of them might get 122 or 97 or what you did. But guess what does happen? Some get 10, some get 20. The really competitive ones that see you get 90s and 100s go, do you know what? I'm going for it. And they'll get 40 or 50. They'll create miracles in your organization. And then you start creating that culture of it's normal to sign up dozens of people on your front line. Nobody in your entire organization may ever catch up to your work ethic and your abilities, but you don't need them to. If you are number one, if you are at the top of your game, if you are the sharpest tool in the kit, and you duplicate 50% of you, you'll do spectacularly well. If you duplicate 25% of you, you'll do very well. And if you duplicate 10% of you, you'll do better than most people on the planet. How about that? Do you see? But you can't recruit 7 and then wonder why your people haven't got 7, because they're never going to get 7. You haven't led the way. You haven't created a path. You haven't had a breakthrough, right? Because your mindset is stuck in single digits. That's all it is. Think bigger. If I can, why can't you? If Sharon can, why can't you? If Goran can, why can't? Do you see what I'm saying? Just ask that question. Like, why not me? And then see what comes up. Because what comes up is the answer to your resistance. What comes up? Why not you? That why not you is the very thing that will hold you back. Why not you? Because I'm too busy. Boom. Congratulations. There you go. That's the rest of your life. You can carve it out in stone and stick it on the wall. You're too busy. It's on your tombstone already. Because that's how you choose to relate to yourself. Oh, it's all right for Goran. He's not as busy as me. It's all right for Kalpesh. He's not as busy as me. Whatever your thing is, becomes your thing. Oh, I can't invite as nicely as Sharon can. I don't have her smile. I wish if I had blonde hair and a beautiful smile, I'd be all right. But no, that's Sharon's gig. That's not my gig. Boom. That's what's on your tombstone. Didn't have blonde hair and a beautiful smile. That's all that's going to happen. Whatever your reason for not producing what's possible, find out what that is. Get to the root of your subconscious blocks. I can't do X because. Wow. Whatever you say is your truth. Whatever you say is your reality. You relive it, you create it. You're manifesting that all the time. Or you can do what successful people do and question rather than accept. Question your truth, question your reality, question your experience. Like, hold on a second. Why am I busier than Richard Branson and haven't got a millionth of his production? Why am I busier than Elon Musk and haven't got a billionth of his production? What's going on here? Something's not adding up. Do you see? Because that's what's possible. What's possible is building rockets and taking them to space. And then we do what we do. So you can never have stuff like I'm too busy. Do you see? It's a complete myth. There's no such thing. And even Elon Musk and Richard Branson find time to chill out on their, in their me times, whatever they do on their islands or in their rocket ships or whatever they're up to, right? In their Teslas, they find time to do all the stuff they want to do, whatever it is they want to do. It's the illusion. So find your story. What is your story that you keep telling yourself as to why you can why you can only do 7 or 8 or 10? And why you're not leading the way, setting the blaze alight. Going, do you know what? Sod it. I'm going for 20. So if you're at 7, you're going for 20, you are expected to expand 3 times as a 3x growth. Fantastic. Take it on. That's how it works. Everyone that's got 100 frontline in the industry ever, at some point, was stuck at 7 or 6 or whatever the number was. The industry average is 3, by the way. That's insane for me, but it's not insane because that's the industry average. That shows you where the world is at. So if you imagine somebody walks into or attends a Zoom, sees an opportunity, gets excited, sees that they can have a breakthrough in financial freedom, and the average person will bring 3 people to the table. So if you're past 3, you've already outperformed the average person. Congratulations, that's progress. Can you see? Progress starts at the point at which you go past average. Everyone can do average. Average is the easiest thing to do on the planet. But why settle for average? Because when you came in, you didn't look at the plan and go, yeah, I'll do an average job with this. Chances are you came in and went, wow, this could be really amazing. Then you've got to become amazing to create really amazing, right? You've got to become amazing with it, fall in love with it, go crazy about it, get outrageous, start bragging, start having 5 convos a day instead of 2 convos a day. And I say 2 conversations a day. This is time for you to even get real with yourself. Hand on heart. Is that your average? Are you speaking to at least 60 people a month? See, some of us convince ourselves that average is 2 people a day because we did 2 on Saturday. And that's 2 a week. That's 8 people a month. You're never going to make it. You are never, ever going to make it. Ever. And when I say make it, I mean like creating dreams, manifesting miracles, creating breakthroughs, getting past average. Do you see? If you're only speaking to a couple of people on weekends, the numbers are absolutely against you because number one, you're not getting enough practice in. And like anything in life, if you don't get enough practice in, you cannot improve. So first of all, if you're speaking to 5 to 10 people a month, your practice levels are weak, which means that when you speak to them, your energy is weak already. You're already at a disadvantage. You have to create momentum with it, right? Momentum builds momentum. You got to get behind your own vision, your own dream, your own goals, your own targets, you got to push yourself beyond a level to get uncomfortable. Because if you don't, and not everyone will tell you this because they'd rather you speak to 8 than speak to none, right? But the fact of the matter is, if you only speak to 8 people a month, you're not going to set anything light. It'll be all right. It's a little play along thing. You'll sign up 1 a month, 2 a month. Your team is never going to perform. They just won't. Because when they see you doing 1 or 2 a month, that's their inspiration. What are they going to do? They'll speak to 4 a month and maybe get lucky to get 1 a month in. Do you see? If you're speaking to 8 and getting a couple, they'll speak to 4 and get 1. And the people they bring in, they're like, okay, that's the rate that you have to work. Okay, well, I'll just speak to 2 a month. And they might get 1 person every 2 months. You end up slowing down your own team's momentum because you're waiting for them to do it for you. It doesn't work like that. Your team move when you move. It's just a weird thing about network marketing. Once in a blue moon, but you never wait on that. Once in a rare blue moon, you get somebody that's going to get on with it with or without you. All right. But, you cannot sit there and wait for that day to happen. Network marketing is built the way that everybody keeps telling everyone, right? It's built with a certain science and a formula. And that is hitting the phones, picking up the phones, speak to, if your upline is speaking to 50 people a month, speak to 60. Know that that's what's possible. I'm going to go here. Because chances are your upline's probably achieved a lot more in the industry than you're ready to achieve yet. And so if they're speaking to 50, if you speak to 60, bang, now you're on path. Now you're on track. If you outperform the people that have already made stuff happen, you cannot help but grow at an alarming rate of return. Your growth within 30 days, you'll be unrecognizable. In fact, here's a challenge. Let's do this. Unrecognizable growth. Not everyone's going to do it, I know, but at least flirt with the idea of it. And if you really want to take it on. Speak to 100 people in the next 30 days. Speak to and follow up with. So invite 100 people to a Zoom or a one-to-one showing of a recording in the next 100 days. How about that? 100 in 100. And that's really light, by the way. That's 1 conversation a day. I'm keeping it really light for you, right? But it's the consistency that I'm looking for. If you do 100 in 100 and see your improvement over that space of time, you will not recognize yourself. Now, here's the real push now, if you're up for it. Now, if you're a little bit long in the tooth and you've been around for a while, and you've got the 100 leads, you've got contacts in your WhatsApp or your Facebook or LinkedIn, you know that you can reach out to 100 people. If you want to push yourself, don't do it in 100 days, do it in 30. The person that does it in 30 will grow at an exponential rate compared to the person that does it in 100 days. Magic happens when you push yourself. Speaking to 1 person a day it'll bring consistency into your life. For sure. But the rate of improvement will be still slow. But you compress that. You have 3 conversations a day, every single day, 7 days a week, back to back for 30 days straight. You are going to grow at a rate that even you're going to go, holy smokes, my first few invites compared to now, you'll master it. You will master the invitation. You'll become a master of inviting. And to improve on that, what you can do, and there's too much stuff online for you to learn from, but one of the greatest invitation technique teachers, in my opinion, in your early days, because it gives you the scripts. And in the early days, sometimes you need the scripts because you don't have the skeleton in place. You don't have the framework in place. Tom Schreiter. Go to YouTube and look up Big Al, Tom Schreiter. I've met him a few times in my life. He's the most entertaining, hilarious, trainers, but in the weirdest way. Like, he never smiles. He's just got this still look on his face, and he just says everything so matter-of-factly. You're sitting there rolling on the floor because he's not laughing, and you're like, how can you not be laughing at what he just said? He just comes out with stuff but it's perfect for new people. He is a master of invitation techniques. So look up Tom Big Al Schreiter on YouTube and listen to that every day. You could do like a practice. Listen to 5 minutes of Tom Schreiter and then make your 3 calls every day. All of that's going to take you 10, 15 minutes tops. How about that? Listen to 5 minutes of Tom Schreiter, make your 3 calls. Next day, 5 minutes of Tom Schreiter, make your calls, and get into that and do that for 30 days and watch the magic. People will be begging you to teach them how you became such a master at inviting in such a short space of time, if you can commit to the consistency. And like I said, most of you won't anyway, and that's fine, because that's where you're at in your journey. But if you do it, goodness, I can't wait to hear from you in 30 days and during, where you're going to come back and go, freaking hell, Kalps, what the hell? Do you know what's happened to me? People are coming to me now. I'm not even saying stuff, and they're calling me and asking me, what am I up to? The universe will start delivering. It just does. It's the weirdest thing. You emit a frequency into the world that tells the world that you're up to something. And the world knows it. The world recognizes it. Says, you know what? Okay, you're up to stuff. Here you go. Let's send some business your way. It just starts happening. People will start reaching out to you that you haven't invited and say, hey, listen, what are you up to? Because your energy is emitting that message out, because you're doing it. Actions speak louder than words. There's a reason these phrases exist. Your actions send a message out into the universe. Your affirmations send a message into you. They're the words. Affirmations without actions, toilet. It's like non-event. But your affirmations build your internal world. Your actions build your external world. And you've got to build the bridge between the two. Actions. Listen, there are people that have never done affirmations their whole life that have built empires, because actions will always speak louder than words, forever. There are people that have never done affirmations, never done visualizations, never done any of that stuff, and have smashed it to levels that even you and I can't fathom and begin to understand, because they've out-actioned everything. Do you see? So the power of action, knowing all the stuff, is useless until you can apply it. Apply 5% of what you know, you will become a master way ahead of pretty much everyone you know. Learning to flex 5% of your knowledge and your wisdom that you're already born with when you come into the planet, the physical knowledge that you've learned along the way. If you can just move 5% of that, a little fraction of it, you'll outperform the masses on the planet by a long shot. Because the stuff we're talking about here, nobody talks about or understands or thinks about. But my point is, it's tiny. The difference between winning and staying the same is minute. It's so small. It's literally like stepping over an invisible line where the magic happens. Tony Robbins talks about it as the 2% shift. Wherever you are, people think they've got to go 180 degrees to turn their life around. No, just 2% shift, and the trajectory over time is a whole different world. If you're traveling here and you make a 2% shift, you end up here. 2 different lives a decade from now, just because you made a 2% shift in your trajectory. You don't have to do a 180-degree flip. Just be a little bit better than everyone around you. Be a little bit better tomorrow than you were yesterday. Just build on it. And you stick around with that a year, 2 years, bang, magic happens. 10 years, unrecognizable. People can't catch up to you in a decade in terms of who you are, how you masterfully handle yourself, communicate, relate, build rapport, move people, influence, all of the things that most people will never ever work on. Here it happens daily, real time. So there's the actions of today. If you're up for it, 5-minute invitation recording, 10 minutes getting 3 invites done. And they are long invites, by the way. That's like 3 minutes per invite. You don't need 3 minutes in invites. I'm giving you a a couple of minutes of rapport building and catching up in that phone call if you need it, and then get the invite in and bang. You don't forget the rules of invitation. Be excited and be in a hurry. Your excitement and enthusiasm is a must. Don't do a dead tone invitation. That's why they won't turn up anyway. If you do a dead invitation, you get dead turnout. Excitement. So be excited when you make the call, and urgency. You can't be excited for a long period of time on a phone call. It loses the impact. What makes the call or the invite powerful is the shortness of it, right? Goran, listen, I've just seen something amazing. I know when you see it, you're going to love it. I'm in a bit of rush. I've got a few more people to catch up with. Can you commit to 7 o'clock tomorrow? I'm going to send you a link 5 minutes before. Put it in your diary now. 7 o'clock tomorrow evening. I'm going to show you something that's going to blow your mind. Can we make that happen, Goran? Boom, done. Yes, okay, good. Listen, I've got a rush, like I said, but we'll catch up again in the week. Boom, phone down. You can catch up again after the call and have a longer call then on the follow-up and catch up about how the cat and the dog is doing and how their family is and, you know, the good old days at school and all of that you can do on the follow-up call. But on the invite, short, sharp, to the point. Listen, look, I've just seen something. You got to check it out. I need you to jump on a Zoom with me, 20 minutes, half an hour. When are you available? Play the recording. Maybe you're doing a launch. If you're doing your own business launch, and I recommend everybody should do at least one launch a week in the early days. And then maybe you might tone it down to one launch a month, further down once you've got a team moving, right? But if you're doing a business launch, invite them in such a way. Andrew, listen, I've just started a fantastic new business and I'm inviting all of my nearest and dearest to come and celebrate with me. And I'm doing a launch party on Zoom on Saturday at 3. Can you make sure your schedule is clear so you can jump on? Or if they live nearby, listen, I'm doing it at 3. It's going to be on Zoom, but I'm having a few friends over at my place as well. Why don't you come over and join me in my living room? I'll make sure you got some Pringles and some orange juice. Job done. So whatever it is that works in terms of how you want your invitation to happen. Again, personal is always way more stronger than digital, but it's not. Digital is leverageable. It's international. It's global. It reaches further corners of the world. Physical needs a little bit more effort on the part of the person that's coming along. Hence why I say if they're nearby, invite them over. If they're not, then get them on the Zoom. Cool. So there we go. We've covered some good stuff there. I'm going to come back into you guys. If you want to give some commitments, if you want to make some declarations, if you want to show us what you're made of and show us what you're going to do over the next 30 days, I'd love to hear from you. Just raise your hand and share away. Hey, Goran.
Kalpesh, great session as always. This ties in really well to what we were talking about last week. I'm not sure you were able to get on the call because you were out or traveling, but
yes.
We talked about doing a 90-day game plan, 90-day blitz. And boom. I know Sharon's got a session tomorrow that we're running for her guys about it, but I sort of talked to everyone about from now, pretty much tomorrow to the end of June is actually 107 days. So a little bit of leeway beyond 90, but it's going to, if you follow the simple and they are simple things. I mean, 2 conversations a day, 3 or 4 conversations a day. I said 10 to 20 interactions a week, which is 10 on the lower end is 2 a day, 20 on the higher end is 4 a day. It's not a lot. I remember a great mentor of mine many years ago. He used to say, be Superman or Supergirl, Superwoman, whatever you want to say, for 30 minutes a day. That's it. 30 minutes. That's all it takes to make 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 quick approaches.
Honestly, you've hit on such an important point there that the committing to that time slot.
Yeah.
It just works wonders, right? Whatever that time slot, whatever you can give it, but in that time, that has to be the only thing you're thinking of. No distractions, nothing in the middle of that. It's your focus zone, but you'll smash it. 30 minutes a day is a lot. If you can get 30 minutes of yourself consistently every day, you'll smash this.
Yeah. People always say, Kalpesh, if I had more time, I'd build a business. You know what? Most people that are full-time in networking waste the whole day.
Isn't that true?
They waste the whole day. I'm brilliant at it. I'm the best procrastinator of all time.
But here's the good news though. You can afford to.
Yeah, that's it. But
that's the difference.
When I had a job, and the job drove me. It drove me. Jobs and me don't mix all that well. I have an allergic reaction to them. So it was a driving force. But I haven't had one of those for a long time now. But I just thought you reminded me. I met Big Al as well about 10, 11 years ago. I couldn't stop laughing. I ended up for $100. He was selling all of his previous recordings from the previous 30 years. Got them on a USB stick. Yeah. So fantastic. But you can, if you go to bigalbooks.com, he calls himself Big Al. The guy's about 4 foot nothing.
5 foot. Yeah, he is.
5 foot.
Tiny.
And but if you go to Big Al Books, you get some great things there. His teaching is brilliant, absolutely brilliant. But in fact, I've got 3 audio books I'd encourage everyone to get here. This one, Building Your Network Marketing Business. I saw the guys post that on the channels the other day on YouTube. Obviously, this is actually it's a version of Think and Grow Rich, spoken by Napoleon Hill. It's fantastic. It's incredible. Just listening to him. And then Big Al, but I've got many others. But the thing is,
but Goran, you've been doing this for 3 decades. Why have you got those things on your phone?
Oh, look, I need it every day. I tune into something daily.
Do you get that, guys and girls? 3 decades in, and it's there on tap. Get the clues, guys. Get the clues.
Every day, I walk my dog for at least an hour every day. It's a bit of a power walk. Today, I did hill sprints as well. Actually, you'll be happy with me. I'm down 7 kilos since the last 3 weeks.
Oh wow!
So got about 7 to go. Yeah,
I think you put 7 kilos on that night we were out, didn't you?
Probably. So look forward to catching up in a few weeks.
Brilliant.
You won't recognize me, but when you need to use your time to grow. So I'm listening to personal development podcasts or trying to learn something when you're doing something else. So whether you're driving or whether you're walking the dog or at the gym or whatever it might be, try and get a couple of personal development boosts every day, whether it's physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, whatever it is. But guys, if you want to be involved in the 90-day plan, let's do this together. We can run some sessions as follow-up sessions to, in fact, I want to do this. I was aiming to do it maybe next week on one of the free nights for those that do commit in the next week. If you get out there and do a couple of calls a day, next week, let's get together.
Goran, why don't we plug it in now? Thursdays.
Yeah. All right. Thursdays are good.
Thursday as a closed group of whoever's committed to this mission, 90-day run. All right. So on Thursday evenings, we'll do the 90-day run group.
Yeah. And we'll focus on stories. If
it's invite only, that one, so that won't be an open Zoom. If anyone wants to get in, then they've got to, commit to showing up to all of it, right? So we'll create a little template of what's required for anyone that wants in on that. Cool.
And as I showed the guys last week, I've got a couple of templates around activity sheets that you can use. Brilliant. They're not for anyone other than yourself, just to monitor your activity, because follow-up for a lot of people is not the greatest skill. I know for me it was terrible. So we can get those out. But at the end of the day, it's about why you want to do it. And I always like to have a short to medium term focus. Yeah. So we've got the launch of these machines. We've got an event, a major event in July. That'll go on sale probably in the next week or so. There are only 2,000 spots. It's in Dubai. And, a lot of us will sit back and we'll say, it's in Dubai, you might not have traveled out of the UK or out of the Netherlands or wherever you might be based, out of Australia or wherever it might be for a long time. But it's amazing how a business like this opens up your mindset, opens up your parameters. So what if you could have your business pay for a trip to Dubai in July?
There's a goal.
What if you could do that? Now,
Fantastic.
I don't mean a free trip. I mean, you're going to pay for it, but your business, your wee global business will pay for it because of what you earn. Why couldn't you do that? Everyone on this call could do that. Everyone. Okay. It doesn't take a lot. You know, I mean,
It's like 4 months. Goodness, that's like
4 months.
So doable, isn't it?
It's 4 months.
Trip to Dubai. Come on, and be part of the moment. Be part of the occasion. Brilliant.
We've got guys on here who were ambassador 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 in 4 months. Well, not 10, but 9.
Yeah.
Okay.
Brilliant.
Took 5 months for 10. But nevertheless, it's possible. Okay. And when you do that, everything opens up. Everything opens up. All right. So I would just encourage you, have a crack at this 90-day game plan. It's 90 days, for God's sake. We've nearly had 90 days of the year.
Yeah.
Where's it gone? I was saying to my wife earlier, I cannot believe we're already 14th of March. So 90 days was basically Christmas, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Does Christmas seem like an eternity away? Probably not. So in the next 90 days, you can set up your whole business. And it just takes a few of the little things that Kalpesh was talking about tonight. That's it. All right. So we'll run, shall we run the first one next week? So we give everyone a week now.
Give them a week and a bit. Yeah.
To roll into it.
8-9 days.
I'll share the recording if you haven't seen it. I recorded the session last week. I might edit it so it's only the focus on the 90-day game plan.
Yeah.
But tomorrow I'll get that out to the groups. If you want to have a listen to that, just the thinking behind it. And then if you want the tracking sheets and things like that, then we'll get them out. Okay. Thanks for all you do, Kalpesh.
Thank you, Goran. Absolutely awesome. And there you have it. Ambassador 10 in 5 months. Come on. Sue.
Hi. Hey, Kalpesh. Thank you so much for an awesome conversation. It really is about getting a bit more power underneath our wings, really, right? And something that I've been doing this week. So I just came back from Dubai last week, a couple of weeks ago, and I'm like, okay, I want to, really get to the next rank ASAP. So what do I need to do now? Where I am, there's not a lot of people right here where I am. So I'm in an apartment building, right? So actually what I need to do is go to people, and I've literally booked myself onto as many events as possible in the area. So like on Saturday, I was at a networking event. Yesterday, I was at a networking event. I've got another 2 networking events happening this week. And, all I did was go onto Eventbrite and look for crypto events.
Brilliant.
And, some of them are paid like 15, 20 quid. Some of them are for free. Yesterday's one that I went to is called Crypto Mondays. It happens once every month. It's been going on for 5 years. I didn't even know. It's literally half an hour away from where I live. And there were hundreds of people in the room last night.
Wow. Look at that.
Which was phenomenal. And I sat next to a guy yesterday and I said, oh, what do you do and stuff like that. And he because I was just telling him what I did, right? And he said, that sounds amazing. He said, can you send it to me? So I've got his number. And as I went to get my add his number onto my phone, he said, oh, is that Kalpesh Patel? I said, no, he's not Kalpesh Patel. I said, why, do you know him? He said, yeah, I know him. I know of him in the network marketing space. I'm like, how famous are you? Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm sitting next to some random guy at an event, and he said, I know of you from Euphony days. Anyway, so he started to tell me about what he used to do.
Years ago, 1999. Gosh, 25 years.
Yeah. So, he's obviously, obviously still connected with people in the space. He was just saying that, oh, I heard, Kalpesh is in Dubai. So he knows quite a bit about what, like what you're doing.
Following the journey. Bless. Nice.
Yeah. So yeah, basically, he said, can you send me the link for the presentation? I said it's on Wednesday, so I'll send him the link fresh tomorrow to for him to attend the presentation tomorrow, you know, and it was the same on Saturday as well. I was speaking to people, you know, sharing with them about what I'm up to. And you know, they were all like entrepreneurial women, like for International Women's Day, and you know, they were just saying like, you know, what do you do? And I was just sharing about, you know, a couple of my investments and how I'm creating, you know, wealth and finance in my life. And you know, they're just like, yeah, I need to connect with you, can you send me information about that? And it's really effortless in some way. All I've got to do is be in a space and then very simply share what I'm doing and my journey with it. And you know, they asking me, like I saw on Goran's thing, like people are begging you for the presentation link. You know, on that group, they said, oh, can you send us some links about it? And then I said, yeah, look, here's the LioPay website, but you also need to attend a presentation to understand about it. And I didn't send the presentation link. And then yesterday, one of the ladies literally messaged me and said, where's the presentation link? I want to attend. You know, so, you know, people want this. You just got to share it in a way that, you know, that gets them excited by you being excited about what you do, you know. But it is just about you getting yourself out there and putting yourself into groups of different people.
Yeah. Wonderful. Congratulations. Thanks for sharing those real live update stories of getting out there and just meeting new people. It's as simple as that, right? So, but you do need to do it. You need to go on meetup.com. You need to search for crypto events in your area. You need to go in and book the ticket and make sure you put it in your diary and get on the train or the car and go. And, you know, it's just a sequence of stuff needs to happen to make it happen. But when it does, the universe goes, all right, you're serious. There you go. Here's a break. You're putting in the work. You deserve a break. There you go. Have somebody.
And you know, like it's a lot easier than I mean, you know, like what Goran was saying, right? You're traveling miles for nobody to show up. This is like an audience that's already created. You just got to put yourself there, you know?
Yeah, honestly, modern day building a network for anyone that thinks outside of the comfort of their normal brain is so easy. Like it's never been set up so well. There are meetups are normal now. Social gatherings are normal. There's gazillions of them in every postcode on the planet. You've only got to type and find out where your nearest one is and show up. And there's people there with common interests, whatever that. There's bikers that get together. There's hikers that get together. There's dancers that get together. There's walkers that every single group is catered for. So just type in there, right? Crypto entrepreneurs, networkers, whatever it is you want to type it, find it, go there, say hi. Done. Dr. Vinod, how are we doing?
Hi, Kalpesh. What a fantastic training session you are doing every Tuesday, and you motivate me to get fired somewhere. Thank you very much. So last week, Sue was reading this book. I said, I got to read what Sue is reading. I got to do what Kalpesh is doing, and I got to do everything to be where they are. So now I had a reason before. And I don't have a reason now because I used to look after my mom who's 103. As you know, she passed away. So I got no reason now not to do 3 presentations a day. I was doing 1 a day, but from now 3 a day. And I take your 90 days challenge. I take your 90 days challenge and see what happens in next 90 days. And Goran, I would like to see you join your 90 days club also. And every Thursday I'm there and see what happens. One more thing I want to say, just Goran said that he drove up to 400 miles in Australia. Let me tell you a story, what happened when I was in California. I had a downline in Texas, and he rang me one day that, okay, Dr. Kiroya, he just went and bought product from me, and then he bought 2,000 pound or euro worth product. I drove 3,000 miles to Texas, stayed him for 3 weeks, and started to get his business going. And then I had another business down in down right in the Florida region. I forget because it was long time ago. And that was another 3,000 miles. And I rented a car from San Francisco, a Honda car, because I used to drive Honda. And when I returned that car after 2 weeks, the salesman asked me, can you get me the mileage, how much mileage? So it was 7,000 miles. So he said, I'm sure, sir, it's a mistake. You could have done 7,000 miles in 2 weeks. I said, yeah, that's a genuine mileage. So what I'm trying to say here, that I'm not bragging what I did, but if the fire is there, you can do anything. And then that time I didn't even have fire. I was just playing games, just playing around here and there, here and there. But now the fire is there. So I accept your challenge of 90 days.
I love it.
And we see what happens in 90 days. Thank you very much. Lovely
Thank you.
presentation, lovely book. And I'm going to go and get Tom Stryker, listen to him for 5 days, and then make 3 calls every day. How about that?
Love it. Dr. Vinod, you are the ultimate action taker of all. Massive inspiration. Thank you. Looking forward to
Thank you. Lovely training. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. There we have it, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, just it's always the same. It's just in a different way, different format, different words, but the story is always the same. Find your passion, find your motivation, find your mojo, find whatever it is you've got to find to get excited. That's all it is. Get excited about it. I don't care what it is. Just get excited about something. The minute you get excited about something, give it everything you got and let this be the vehicle that produces what it needs to produce so you can have whatever it is that's your thing, your mojo. And you can start, as Goran said beautifully, you can start by planning to have your business make you enough profit over the next couple of months to pay for your trip to Dubai. That would be like a gangster story, wouldn't it? Hey, listen, I've given myself a free trip to Dubai. You got to create stories. Do you see that? Give yourself that story to tell so that you can be there and say, yeah, I paid for this through the business. The business paid for me to be here. Didn't cost me a penny. Didn't cost me a dime. My business paid for me. Boom. Thank you. Much love always. Mwah. See you back here next Tuesday. Don't forget, tomorrow night, 7 o'clock is a presentation delivered by, I believe it's Tony tomorrow. Goran did a little bit of swapsy. And don't forget, it can be as fun as Dr. Vinod said, right? It wasn't hard work. It wasn't stressful. He was dancing. He danced his way to 7,000 miles or kilometers over a couple of weeks. Come on, guys. What are you waiting for?